games.
Yeah, obviously incredibly disappointed. Feel like we've let ourselves down. Feel like we've let our fans and everybody who supports us back home down. There's not a whole lot to say, on nights like this. When things go wrong, you have no choice but to stand and face the music, and so that's what we'll do. And with time, a lot of time, be ready to move on in a strong way. But this one isn't going away anytime soon.
What does this mean for American soccer not to get to a World Cup after being there so many times? Big picture.
Say that again.
Big picture.
Hard to say an hour after the game finishes. It certainly hurts, but having said that, we're not the first country to miss out on a World Cup, and we won't be the last. We have to understand where things went wrong, where we let ourselves down, and ultimately use it in the right ways to make sure that we improve and continue to push ourselves forward in real ways. Sorry. It was a perfect storm kind of night where everything that could have possibly went wrong did. In this stadium and in 2 other stadiums across the region. So the first goal, to give away the first goal like that is a killer. It comes from nothing, and it ultimately gives them life. It gives them energy, and it means that all of a sudden they believe, they think that there's something there for them. The second goal, the guy hits a great shot that flies in the far corner, and so obviously the start or the first half of the game was not anything close to what we wanted. We talked at halftime about a strong response, about still feeling like there was everything was there for us, and it was. And obviously we got back to 2-1 quickly, and at that point couldn't make a play to unlock them. Couldn't get the final pass, the final shot, the final action. Couldn't make a play when we needed to. So it's like I said, you can go around in circles a million times over again, but the reality is that it was all there for us, and we have nobody to blame but ourselves.
Looking back at the Hull Hex, what would you say was lacking?
Again, it's not the easiest time to make bigger picture analysis. Obviously, we put ourselves behind the 8 ball right away with our start, losing the first 2 games. we came back in a strong way in March. Even though, I mean, look, you never complain about points on the road, but there was probably more there. There was probably more there for us in Panama. June, all things considered, you say great. You take your 4 points, and then obviously, given the way we started, that there's not much margin for error. And then when you lose to Costa Rica at home, then you're, as we talked about, the margin is virtually gone, and it was. So we responded in a strong way in Honduras. We responded in Panama, or responded in Orlando against Panama in a big way, and came into the last match day knowing, with everything in our own hands. And so like I said, coming back to what I said before, that was all we could ask for. Given the way everything went, given the way given our start, given where we dropped points. To walk on the field on match day 10, knowing that our destiny was in our own hands, that was as good a scenario as we could have asked for. And on the night we weren't good enough. Plain and simple.
Jose said you guys paid the price for another slow start. Can you kind of put a finger on why you guys had that kind of stuff?
Not really. I mean, like I said, the first goal comes from essentially nothing, and somehow the ball ends up in the back of our goal, and the second goal, you guys could tell me, I believe that's a right back shooting from a good distance. And so look, this is football, It's not to say these things don't ever happen, but it was a night where everything went wrong, and when we needed to, the response in the second half was strong, and we tried, we gave everything to get back to 2-2, and ultimately couldn't make the last play.
You played with great energy and aggression on Friday. Seemed to be missing the first half tonight. What do you think about those?
Different games, I think the one thing that it's real easy for everybody to do, especially people sitting at home, is to look and say, there was no effort, and that's just wrong. When you're playing against a team that is going to concede so much in terms of the ball and territory, then right away the game is going to play out in a different way, and quite honestly, you have to give them credit for that. In terms of they watched the game the other night, they see that our ability in transition, when there's space to go and to go quickly and to be mobile and to cause real trouble, that's something we're very good at. That's something we're very good at. And so against a team that is mobile and good in transition and good countering into space in moments, one way to take that away is to just come back in your own half and make sure there is no space to counter into. And so, to your question, it's a different game. The game plays out in a different way. in certain moments needed to be able to unlock a team that was sat back very deep in their half with a lot of numbers behind the ball, and we weren't able to do that. That part wasn't what it needed to be on a night like this.
This cycle open.
Also, not an easy question to answer right now. I mean, the obvious answer is, again, I just went through the entire hex, right? We dropped points on too many days. We put ourselves at a disadvantage from the beginning when we lost the first two games. When you lose the first two games and you drop points on too many days, your margin for error goes away, and so you know that you're at the mercy of a night like this where everything possible goes against you, both here and in the two other games, right? So that's just reality, you know. That's on us as well, because like I said, when we start the hex poorly, when we don't take the points that we should on some other days, then you leave open the chance that on the last day this can happen.
What's the overriding emotion that you take out of this as you come to terms with the fact you're not going to the World Cup? Is it anger, frustration? What do you feel?
Yeah, anger, frustration. Those are both good places to start. Quite honestly, you're on empty. You know, you give so much through this whole qualifying campaign to try to navigate every part of it. To even when things look bleak, make sure that we all understand that none of the stuff on the outside matters. That we've got to have a group that's able to pull strong and pull tight in big moments. And every single guy did that. And so when you get to the end, and it ends like this, you're empty.
Last one.
Like I said at the beginning, it's not going away anytime soon. It's not something that it's not something you just forget. But it's life. It's football. When you compete at the highest level, when this is what you do, you have. There are never any guarantees. You have no choice but to go after things each and every day in the strongest, most fearless way possible. And you know that at the end there's no guarantee of anything. And so we've all lived moments like this before. Maybe not in this context in terms of missing out on a World Cup, and so that's something that unfortunately we're all going to have to live with. And like I said, in time, a lot of time, unfortunately, given the timing of everything, we'll have our chance to respond. But in the meantime, you have no choice but to stand tall and face the music.